Hey, we're down in Naples, Florida, and I have with me my favorite lens of all time, the RF 50mm 1.2. And I'm gonna take some photos and show you what it's like. Okay, we're gonna do some portraits here in this spot. Let's see how this goes. Okay, hand down, out of the hair. There you go. Beautiful. Awesome. Now you're looking at me here. Good, and one looking at me, smiling. Okay, now I just put on the EF 50mm 1.8, and we're gonna see how does a $100 lens compare to a $2,400 lens. EF 50mm 1.8, and now we are going to try it out with our model. Okay, so here we go. Chin this way just a little bit. You can look at me. Good. A little bokeh test here. Okay, let's get into one of my favorite parts, which is analyzing the photos that we made. So here we have our model, and we are shooting at 50mm f1.2 with the new RF 50mm 1.2. And this photo is razor sharp. So when we zoom in, she looks tack sharp. The background just separates completely because it's so smooth and buttery, and my goodness, I just love the way this image looks. If we compare it to the EF 50mm 1.8, which I know isn't the best comparison, but it's kind of the only other 50mm I had with me at the time, we're gonna take a look at the sharpness here. So let's zoom in to even 3:1 here. So she's really, really sharp with the RF 1.2. And as we get down to the feet, you'll notice her sandals are still in the focal plane and they are razor sharp with the 1.2, whereas with the 1.8, the EF, it's kind of just this blurry mess as we get towards the edge of the frame. So that's the difference between a pro version and a kind of a cheaper version. When you get the pro level, especially the new RF lenses, they are insane. They are sharp all the way to the edge of the frame, and the background blur is just beautiful. Let's kind of take a look here at two horizontal shots. And I know I didn't go technical with this review where I was shooting it on a tripod. I was just hand holding it and kind of trying to get some different shots, horizontal and vertical. What I love about the RF version, it is so smooth, and the bokeh just wraps around beautifully around the subject. The EF, it's just kind of a soft mess here where she's not really sharp, and the bokeh just kind of is these highlights with, I don't know what you would call that, but they just got this weird circle around them, and it just feels kind of harsh, whereas this on this side is super, super smooth. Now we'll look at two vertical portrait shots, kind of the same two lenses, where we have the EF over here, the 1.8, and the RF is on this side. And again, we're gonna kind of zoom in, take a look at the eyes. That's the first thing. Tack sharp, couldn't be any sharper here with the RF version. And again, just kind of soft. It's usable. I mean, the EF is kind of is usable there, but not even in the same ballpark. The out of focus highlights here, just beautifully rendered here in the RF 1.2, and in the EF, it's just really harsh, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about it there. I would also note that the color is fantastic straight out of camera with the RF version, and the EF 1.8, again, it's not a professional lens, but it's wonderful for if you're just starting out and you want your photos to pop a lot more than the kit lenses that come in it. If we hit C to compare here, and I zoom in. Let's go 3:1 on this one. There you'll really be able to see the detail in the eyelashes. So where eyelashes here, you can see almost every strand individually. On this side, it's just kind of a, I don't know, a blurry mess. It's just kind of hazy and not as much detail there too. Here's two portrait versions. I love the way the RF looks here. The background is very smooth. The subject just pops out of it. On the cheaper version, you've kind of got, you still got some separation. It's just not quite as smooth. And I would think if we zoom in here, my guess is it's going to be soft. If we look at the eyes, this eye is razor sharp. This one is just kind of soft. Here's one with the 50 at 1.2. Zooming in, let's just go 1:1 here. That is a beautiful, beautiful tack sharp image with a very nice rendering in the background. I should note that I have my preset already put on my photos, and I have already also removed the vignetting, which doesn't bother me. Lightroom does a great job removing that. So however much a lens vignettes doesn't make too much of a difference for me. But all these images, when I come in, it's just incredible how much detail there is in the photos. This image I picked just because I personally love the way the background just wraps around my subjects with this RF 51.2. That's one of my favorite personal preferences. I know some people don't like that. If you don't like that, you can stop the lens down and you'll get them more circular. But to me, again, it kind of just makes everything wrap around the head. And that's what I kind of wanted to show you in these next couple images. So these are a couple years old. So these are a few older images. And this is the Sigma Art lens, the 50mm 1.4. And I had this lens for a long time. It's really sharp. It has great color. But I didn't like how the bokeh highlights, they kind of just radiate out like, I don't know, like sunbursts or something like you picture as a kid when you draw sun and there's the lines coming out of it. That's how this lens kind of would, I don't know, render the background. It's not quite as soft and smooth. Like here's an image I took as soon as I got my my RF 50mm 1.2, where the background is really, really smooth and creamy and just makes your subject pop out of the image. These next two, again, were taken with the Sigma, and though I love these images, they're fantastic and they're certainly well worth delivering to clients. The bokeh just is a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit more harsh. It's not quite as smooth and dreamy. If you're shooting with this Sigma lens, it's a great, great lens. I don't know, I didn't really like the way it rendered the bokeh. Now I'd like to go through a series of images that I've made with this lens since I got it. This was the first wedding that I used the 50mm 1.2 at, and I came home so stinking happy because all my photos were razor sharp with the face and eye detection on the OSR, and shooting at 1.2, my photos just came home like I had never seen them before. So bride just razor sharp, background falls off beautifully. Image after image, I was at a whole nother level for me where the eyelashes are razor sharp, the background is just beautifully blurred. These were kind of getting ready photos here from this wedding. Again, a getting ready photo at another wedding. And I can't speak more highly on how great that face detection and eye detection works. And then the background just falls off and the subject pops out of the photos. It's my favorite walk around lens. I use it for the candids throughout the day so I can capture the images and the moments that are happening. The bride and groom often don't even know that they're being photographed, and I'm snapping away, capturing kind of all the emotion and the fun of the day. I can shoot at 1.2 and the subjects will, I can put my focus wherever I want, kind of just to set the mood for the photo, but the background wraps around them. I can focus on details, and I can also capture moments here. So another one shot at 1.2, but they're both in the same focal plane. So the mom and the daughter here remain razor sharp, and then the foreground and the background fade away so that we're only focusing on the moment that's happening. It's also my favorite engagement lens, just because I can shoot it horizontally and vertically, and then the subject's faces aren't getting distorted like they would if you were shooting a 35mm. I also love it for doing the details throughout the day. Sunset photos, also my favorite lens for that. The one thing I watch is I try to keep the sun not directly hitting into the lens, otherwise it washes out the image and gives me a little bit too much sun flare. So I want my photos to have just a nice rich contrast, beautiful look to them, kind of a timeless feel. And so that's exactly what this lens can deliver. From the first look, throughout the portraits, throughout the day, the RF 50mm 1.2 is far and away my favorite lens. For size comparisons, here is the RF 50mm 1.2 next to the EF 35mm Mark II and the 85mm 1.4 IS. And just so you can get a reference as to the size of the lens, here it is in the palm of my hand. It seems to just fit perfectly. It's not too big, not too small, makes it very easy to shoot with. Okay, in summary, after using this lens for over a year now at weddings, portrait sessions, engagement sessions, I can say absolutely it's my favorite lens of all time. The build quality is perfect, the size is fantastic, the background blur could not be more smooth, and the sharpness is off the charts. The only con is the price. It won't be for everybody in that price range, but for me, it's worth even more than the price. If you found this review helpful, please hit that subscribe and like button. And if you want to use the links below, anything you buy on the websites below, not just the stuff we linked through, will help support us. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hope you check out our next videos coming up soon.